I think you've all heard about the zero-sum game, but are you aware of the fact that there is another game you can play? Stay tuned and let's discuss.
I found a stack of records in my attic today, an Elvis picture disc and Kenny's big old hay. Put them up on eBay for the day was done. Watch the bids roll in till the morning sun.
Soul video. I was sick, and I didn't feel good yesterday, which was Monday, which is when I should have filmed it. I just wasn't feeling 100% yet, I'm still not 100%. But in the last video, I said I felt a little something. I was going to talk too much, and sure enough, I was sick. Living off Sudafed and Motrin for the holiday. And one thing I do is, one thing you'll notice is, and I don't know why, I think it's just the engineering me. I have an IT background, went to school for computer engineering, become a network administrator, database administrator. I can go on and on. The list can go on and on of what I used to do, what I am and am not an expert in. But I always like to break things down. I've talked about computer networking, how, separating out the jobs that the standard router does, and why I don't, sometimes you see me thrifting, I don't pick up routers because, based on principle. You break up the job so that way it runs more efficiently. Same is true for cold medicine, or stuff you buy, NyQuil, or you get those ones that say, oh, it takes care of your cough, sneezing, sore throat, body aches, all that. Essentially what they're doing is combining all the different ingredients. They're combining the Tylenol base, something. They're combining a decongestant. They're combining an antihistamine, and they're combining all these things, just making it in one form, right? So I always like to break it out and buy individual components instead, and take what I actually need, as opposed to just taking one syrup that has 3 or 4, different things in it. So, and one thing I always, rely on is Motrin to help reduce inflammation, pain reliever, reduce inflammation, and Sudafed, decongestant. I don't mess with regular Sudafed. I go straight to the 12-hour or the 24-hour. Don't mess with the small stuff. I really don't find them to work that well, either way, for me at least. So that helps me when I am sick, is go straight to the Motrin and go straight to the Sudafed. And, that usually does the trick for me. But this is not medical advice at all or anything like that. Like the video, thumbs up, subscribe, comment down below. Let's get that out of the way right now. But we're going to get into, like I said earlier, we're going to get into something you probably heard, which is, I was going to, Thursday, we're going to talk about ooh, did I get really short? My camera thing adjusted. I feel like I got short. Let's see, hold on. Look at that. There we go, that might be better. Okay, I promise I want to talk about the Ken Bolden. I saw someone else was being interviewed, another, auction house. I don't think they're the owner of an auction house, but they're going to be auctioning off some signed Kobe game used shoes. And I think she said something crazy. Like, they're expecting the shoes to go for like $10 million. I'm like, it was featured in a game, which I'm not really 100% sure. I think they were playing the Miami Heat at that time with LeBron James. Well, it was 3 of them together, 3 of the superstars together on that team. They're expecting to get $10 million for these shoes. So I definitely have my thoughts, my opinions on that, and I'll bring that on. I feel like that's going to be a longer video. I'm still dealing with issues from the cold. So hopefully by Thursday, which will probably be, Thursday is the New Year's Day, so there will be a video on New Year's Day. I won't probably do that one. So in this video, you probably heard this term quite a bit, which is a zero-sum game. It's a zero-sum game. And if you ever, in these meetings, I used to be more have a more prominent role at the hospital. There'll always be somebody in these big meetings that would say, it's a zero-sum game. Like, okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. There was people that always like to sum everything up at the end. The people that just throw in their little they get paid the big bucks just to throw in their little, few little cents or change in there. They'll say it's a zero-sum game. Okay, well, and primarily referencing time, which time is a zero-sum game. There's only so much, hours, where we exist in space-time. The point where we exist in space-time, there's only so many hours, right? We're on Earth. That's what we all know. There's 24 hours. Just so you're aware, I don't think I've mentioned this in a while, but I am a physics buff. But you can actually change the way you experience time. So gravity actually can change time. Gravity, gravity is created by objects with mass, and they warp space-time. They warp it. Space-time is basically space, outer space. The space. It's what everything's in. But either way, time is a zero-sum game, right? You're gonna think of it like a pie. Okay, let's say you spend 8 hours at work, and then you spend a few hours at the gym, then you spend a few hours at home, then you spend a few more hours, sleeping, obviously. Well, if you want to, spend more time maybe with your family, or you want to add something in there, like maybe you want to add in you want to do some training, or you want to do something, I don't know, you want to go to a class or a yoga class. Let's say you want to add a yoga class into that schedule. Well, you're going to have to take time away from somewhere, so there's going to be a winner and there's going to be a loser. So, and the time is just a pie, right? And so that's essentially what zero came. There's a winner, there's a loser. So something's going to win and something's going to lose. Time's going to be added somewhere, and time's going to be subtracted from somewhere. But what a lot of people don't know, and what a lot of people have not before, is there is not just a zero-sum game, but there's also a positive-sum game. And really one of the reasons why I'm bringing this up is to, I was in a podcast, the Nashville Flipper podcast, and, there was someone else. To tell you the truth, I haven't watched the video. There was a response video made in regards to what we were discussing in that video. And so this is kind of responsive, kind of or not. It really doesn't matter. The response video is from someone that likes to use, not to say that I'm very popular, but popular channels to try to gain viewership, which is what everybody's trying to do here on YouTube. We're all trying to gain views and get more views. And, obviously if you throw, people's names in with that have large channels, you're going to get more views. You're going to draw, the attention of their viewers over to your channel for more views. And one thing that they do is they don't, it's not that they don't like necessarily reselling, but they believe that, resellers can move beyond where they're at and move on to other, pastures, greener pastures, which, do what you like, do what you love. If you don't love it, then move on to do something else. That's what I always say. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, then don't do it, right? I enjoy what I'm doing. A lot of people in this space enjoy what they're doing, and you know what? They're making money on it. Some people don't like to call it a business, but we all operate in the United States of America, and if the government of the United States of America calls it a business, that's what it is. That's the what we're playing in. It's their sandbox. However, so either way, I was on Amazon, and I had to buy a new one of these. There's a little USB hub. I needed ones with USB-C on it because a lot of the new stuff I'm buying only has USB-C adapters for charging. So I'm like, I have these little adapters as well too, but I'm like, I'd rather just get one with USB-C and more plugs in it. So I was on Amazon to buy that. Gotta take a sip here. And then I had to buy a new battery pack. This one all just died all of a sudden. So Hold on. I'm going to have to stop the cough once in a while. I also have my notes on me here, so I created a brief little outline because I believe this should be short. I don't think I should be talking very much. So these are all different companies, okay? Different companies. And when you go on Amazon and you go to look for, especially battery packs and things like this, you're going to find a lot of the same exact thing. If you scroll, a lot of people don't scroll. Some people, but if you do scroll, you're going to see a lot of the same exact little black boxes. Going to have the same plugs. It's going to have the same way you power it. The only thing that'll be different is the name. Coloring, might be some different coloring options available, but they're all going to be exactly the same. Why is that? That is because they're all produced in usually one factory. And what is happening is these companies, I don't think this company is around anymore. Actually bought Anchor. I think a lot of people are, if they're really what happens, a lot of you might know Anchor. They're one of the top ranked because they have a lot, of people that buy their stuff. And it does happen to be fairly decent stuff. So you'll see a lot of different names on there. And what's occurring is these are all different companies. Are these people Rav Power? I don't even know if they're still around. I don't think Aki's around anymore. Anchor, Ugreen are the ones I'm seeing nowadays. Are they actually producing these? I've talked about like motherboard manufacturing. Motherboard, you see Asus out there, MSI, you see EVGA, different companies that make motherboards, computers, and all that. Are they actually making those motherboards? You see it. Well, I don't think Intel's a good. I was going to say Intel, but it's not a good. I don't think it's a good analogy because they actually own some of the factories that produce their own chips. AMD spun it off a while ago, so they actually don't. NVIDIA doesn't produce any of the chips. They design the chips, but then they send it off to a factory to make it. Actually, that factory is they actually have one in Phoenix, Arizona now. Used to be based out of Taiwan, but it's TSMC, and TSMC makes a lot of processors for a lot of different companies. NVIDIA, I don't know if they're still doing Apple or not. And what happens is basically they're a factory, and you have to buy time with that factory. You're like, okay, hey, I'm going to need 1 million units of so-and-so processor. When can you fit me in? And all these companies are ordering. They're ordering it way in advance. They're not, like, hey, next month I need you to produce, 1,000, not doing 1,000, but I need you to produce 1,000 processors. They're not doing it like next month. They're doing it a year, 2 years in advance, sometimes even further out in advance. So this factory is always running. And you know what happens? Like, all right, everybody, we got the designs for Apple. Let's go. Put on your Apple hats and let's start making Apple products. And then, all right, we're done making all the Apple products. Let's switch over. We got the designs over from NVIDIA. Put on your NVIDIA hats. Let's get to work. So it's the same exact, company producing all these items, and they're very, very good at it. There are reasons for it. Reasons why. Because they're very, very good. They're efficient. They are skilled. They have some of the best employees, some of the best workers there and working there at these factories. They're some of the most advanced factories in the world. And so they basically have it down to a science. So there is a I know this is turning into a very longer talking video. There is an advantage to sourcing and kind of connected here. There is an advantage to doing that and sourcing items from that way, in that manner. But the problem lies, and where it connects to, a zero-sum game, is you're buying from everybody's buying from all the same factories. Okay. So, this product is being purchased by somebody else. Then you're going to take that product and put it in, up on Amazon probably to try to sell that item. So you're joining the same pie with everybody else. And obviously the people that are just getting in are going to be the losers. They're going to be the people with the smallest, minuscule probably, slice of pies. And, if they get a few more sales, that means they're taking away sales from somewhere else around that pie. So the pie is set already. A lot of the same factories, a lot of the same products.
You're probably going to have do some advertising. You're probably going to have to pay towards that. You have a lot of the same customers. Everybody that shops on Amazon. So your job is, or your goal, yes, you can buy these items. You have to buy probably a unit. There's going to be a quantity that you're probably going to have to purchase at. You could do more research. You could definitely look for categories that may have less competition. You could try to develop your own product. You can try to develop something yourself. And that's, fulfilling a need. That's probably one of the better scenarios you can. But there's risk with everything. There's cost with everything. No matter what you do, there's risk, there's cost with everything. There's risk with waking up in the day, waking up and you know what? There was a story several years ago. This woman, not to get too, we're just going to go straight to the extreme as far as risk goes. There was a woman on her way back from work. She always bought a bag of chips and nacho cheese at this one gas station. Well, it just so happened that one day that nacho cheese, she developed botulism from it. And I'm like, so you're putting your life, every time you go to the fast food, every time you go out to eat, you're putting your life at risk sometimes. So there's risk everywhere. I know I took that way to the extreme, but just to say that no matter what you do, no matter what you choose to do, there's going to be risk. There's going to be an investment that is required beforehand. But now, so there's, that is my thing on a zero-sum game. So you're basically, having to steal from one person to try to gain a little bit here. And, you can find underserviced pies, sector or items or categories, and perhaps, find one where there's less people, obviously power banks and all that. There's a lot of competition involved in there. You can find less competitive areas. You can do the research and find that. So what I'm trying to do, and what a lot of other people, that you see out there on YouTube land do that are similar to me, we're trying to create value. We're trying to identify items that are being sold at a lower price and trying to sell them for a higher price. Buy low, sell high. Some arbitrage is what it is. If for those of you that may be unaware of what you see, the word arbitrage thrown around a lot, retail arbitrage. Some people's channels are called arbitrage, but basically what it means is buying something at a lower price and selling it at a higher price. Doesn't necessarily mean, you can apply it to retail. You apply it to pretty much anything. Buying it at lower, selling it for higher. Doesn't necessarily have to be retail arbitrage. Okay. And so you're trying to create value and you see my thrifting videos, I'm trying to find those items that Goodwill is pricing at $5 that I could sell for $20, $25, $30, $40, right? I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. I'm not trying to buy a massive amount of inventory or anything like that. I'm not trying to be an FBA seller or anything like that. I'm just trying to find items that already are there, have already been produced, and I'm trying to find them at a lower price and selling them for a higher price. And that takes, it does take some skill, that takes a lot of knowledge. I've built up a lot of knowledge, huge databases going on. Every time I look at something, everything's spinning, even if it's not something like a Coach or a Louis Vuitton or something like that. I just posted on Instagram a beaded purse that had zero name on it at all, but I still am aware of the fact that I can buy it for that price. And I can sell it for a higher price. That is with experience. You can do it by determining what's fake and what's not fake, sorting through buying, sorting through purses like you see me do. I'm sorting through purses. I'm trying to see what's good, what's not good. There's so many ways to create value. That's what it is. That is what a positive sum game is creating value. And then let's see. Well, I'm just looking at my notes here. Resellers and what we do, we are applying our expertise and we're putting in a little bit of effort. Yes, there is effort. And I think that's probably one of the biggest, one of the biggest things that critics say, you're putting in so much effort. You have to go to the thrift store. You have to,
go through the flea market. You have to get up early. You have to do this. You have to maybe hire employees. There's shipping involved. There's all this. And yes, there's going to be hard work no matter what you do. No matter what you do, there's going to be a lot of hard work in it. Are there ways to make things easier? Is it easier for me, which I've done, bringing items from overseas? Yeah, there is a lot easier just to go online and look up, okay, let me just place another order of rings here. I place another order of necklaces here. And I would do that. And I would bring them in that were popular, right? I wouldn't bring in everything because then I would just have a massive inventory of stock, just popular stuff that would sell that I can, get out into people's hands quickly. And so, yes, that's very easy. And then, then you spend the rest of the day doing whatever it is you want to do. But this is something that I enjoy. And I think a lot of people that are out here that put these videos out, that put thrifting videos out, that talk about reselling on eBay or wherever, they enjoy those. They enjoy doing it. They enjoy being out there. They enjoy looking for that stuff. Call it a hobbyist if you want, but hey, the money is still money, right? Still making money. That's the goal, right? Making money. And I can't hold on to everything. I can't hold on to everything I buy, so otherwise I'd be a hoarder, which I wouldn't say borderline yet. I wouldn't say borderline. So we're putting our expertise in play. We're putting our experience, and I'm relying heavily on what I've done for the last 2 decades, right? And where am I in my notes here? Kind of just went off the notes a little bit. I really just wanted to, bring up the fact of a positive sum game that is because you always hear, no one, I've never heard anybody. Oh, I shouldn't say I never heard about it because then why am I talking about it? Why am I even aware of it? Yeah, I've heard that years ago, but you always hear them talk about a zero-sum game, and that's what a lot of people on Amazon are doing. They're in a zero-sum game, so you're basically trying to, and it's not that you can't make money doing that. You definitely could make money. It's just in the beginning, it's going to be a little bit hard. Like I said, you could do more research and try to find those areas or those categories on places like Amazon that are, not where there's not so much competition. And, if there's only a few people in the pie, obviously there's a little bit more, a little bit more room to rob from the other person, basically, is what you're doing, trying to make your slice a little bit bigger. You can go on, you can develop, and there's people that have done this. You can go on and develop a whole item, find an area that, or find a problem that needs solving and create a product around that. You can definitely do that. A lot of people do that. And you can make a lot of money on that. But, just don't, I guess, if you enjoy what you're doing, enjoy it. You're making money. If your goal is to make money on it and you're enjoying it, great, even better. Just don't, knock other people. Don't knock other people's enjoyment, whatever they're doing. If you just enjoy the fact of making money, you got to enjoy making money. All right, that's going to be the end of that. Let's get into the what sold. All right, here we go. If my mic sounds a bit different, I accidentally turned down this thing. Let me just forgot what I had it set at. So let's just, hopefully I'm not blowing out your ears, and hopefully you can hear me. So here we go. Let's see how long we can go here. Like starting to feel, the illness. Animated clown. I bought this around Halloween, and I think I bought this about 2 weeks before Halloween, hoping I could sell it by then. It didn't. It sold this past week. So obviously, there are some Halloween things. Talked about this before. Halloween, Christmas, two of the primary, holidays where there are items that won't necessarily sell during the holiday. They can sell throughout the year. Clowns. The It series just finished on HBO. Great series, by the way, if you want to check it out. What did it sell for? I don't know. have my phone out. Uh, where is it at? Okay. $28.05. And this went to a box. It was a 12-10-6 box. And what I went into. So one of my older boxes. And I say older because I've been using a lot more of the Ground Advantage stuff. So this fit perfectly in there though. And it's a real nice piece. It still works. Double check the battery compartment. Make sure it's not corroded. And really cool piece. There are some hollow. I think the clowns, because clowns kind of appeal to a lot of people. Not to me, but I know a lot of people love the clowns. So, sold post Halloween. A Halloween item that probably should have sold during Halloween, but it didn't. So, really cool item here. It's animated, by the way. It moves around and everything, and it's like trying to open the bars. This was really cool. Just a really, I always try to bring those bizarre, unique. I mean, this isn't necessarily a bizarre thing because it's a fanny pack or waist pack, but it's branded or not branded, or it's on the HP TechCon 09. I always, I'm from Silicon Valley. I always have this, special place in my heart for Silicon Valley companies or tech companies. And so when I see items like this, something just is like, I should pick that up. I sold it and it was brand new too. So really, really cool. What it sell for? $16.47. Because us tech people, especially us that grew up in the .com era, that nostalgia kind of kicks in, and we tend to buy weird and unusual stuff from that era. So really, really cool piece here. Definitely, tech brand, not all tech branded stuff. One of the if this wasn't brand new, I wouldn't have picked it up. But really, really cool. Definitely, definitely keep your eye out for these branded tech company things. Well, keyboard. I sell a ton of keyboards all the time. This is a really cool one, $51. I don't say the word ton. I should say I sell a lot of keyboards. Because a ton means an incredible amount. I'll just say I sell a lot of keyboards. $51 when it's sold for. $15.50. Hold on. Okay. Trying to find out those comps to the end. And Kinesis. I think I may or may not have featured this before, but definitely one to keep your eye out for. This is a little bit more of a higher end one. It is has brown switches, so it's a mechanical keyboard. And mechanical keyboards, they don't. I shouldn't say they tend to bring a premium over standard keyboards. And what do I mean by mechanical keyboards? You can feel it well, at least for me, because I'm a keyboard guy. I love keyboards. I collect keyboards. You can feel it in the keys. Here's one I just picked up. This one isn't really a resellable brand. It's an Amazon special. And so whenever I say Amazon special, that's always, what I talked about earlier. There's a bunch of different companies that produce these. No. There's like one or two companies that maybe produce this with one manufacturer. One is like maybe one or two manufacturers, but there's a bunch of companies that brand it and sell it on Amazon. And so this is one of those. It's really cool. It's really great though. It's great quality. It's got a great weight to it. I like the clickiness. I think these are blue switches, I think. You can see you hear that old school kind of click to it. So, and that's what this one is. You kind of feel it as you're pressing it. You can kind of feel before it engages, you can feel that. That keyboard, this keyboard I just showed you, maybe, I don't know, $15 or so. It does have a premium feel, but it doesn't really go for that much. Like I said, Amazon special. That's what I mean when I always throw out the word Amazon special. It's like there's one manufacturer out there and a bunch of different companies branding it, trying to sell it. And they're really cool. This one in a larger padded, the USPS padded poly bag. And every single one it sold for $51. And $15.50 is what they paid in shipping. So a little bit more than the regular Kinesis. I think I'm pronouncing that right. So really, really cool. Definitely one to keep your eye out for. Why did my notes pop up? Get that off there. How many? I should keep an eye on how many. I was gonna do a little bit more because I thought this video was gonna be kind of short, but we'll just stick to 5 in this video. 1, 2, we'll do 6 in this video. 1. Okay, yeah. So, okay, I just trying to figure out where I need to stop at. So, alarm clocks. These alarm clocks have been selling, surprising, pretty well as of late. Really, really cool. Definitely a brand to look out for. And you're not going to pay too much for it. That's the thing. Don't pay too much. $17.31 is what it sold for. $10 what it paid in shipping, and a 6x6x6 box is what it went into. So really, really cool. I sold another one. It was actually smaller. It was a Danbury Mint. Probably about that big around or so. And you could still set it up to stand on your desk, and it was an alarm clocked alarm clock. So really, really cool. All of a sudden they've been moving. Maybe something to do with the first of the year. I don't know. But really cool. They are starting to sell. Not that they ever stop selling. That's why I pick them up, because they do sell. Yeah, this one I just put on Instagram. So if you want to get most latest, some up-to-date cool information, you can follow me on Instagram. But a really cool beaded purse sold relatively quickly for $41.71. This did go in a 410-6 box. $15.50 is what they paid in shipping. And really, really cool. Now, this is one where you're just going to have to know by feel, by touch, by look. Great quality. It's going to have to be in excellent condition, because there's no branding or anything to try to sell it. It's all going to be the imagery and how well it's made. I did take an up-close picture of the beading. Make sure that all the beads are there, make sure nothing's coming undone, and nothing was. It was very, very well made. Could be an Amazon special, but it was very good, because I have come across Amazon specials like this. But it was very, very well made. And it sold relatively quickly. You can sell these items. There are still buyers. You got to get good at your keywords, and AI, ChatGPT, that's the one I primarily use, is going to help you try to find the right keywords for this. If you haven't built up enough of a database on your own, or if you don't have any listings out there to pull from your own. I do a lot of sell-similar for my own listings. It's that way they're, clean, and, I don't have to do all these things. I used to pull some sell-similar that, I don't even know, like people are just putting NA in every single category. That's annoying. So, if you've built up enough of a database sell-similar from your own listings, and I've said before, I have an AI program that uses ChatGPT, and it's nothing like mainstream, nothing you can buy, or it's something I developed on my own. So I'm not going to talk about it. I've mentioned that before, just in case if I ever want to do anything with it. Although it's like a bad employee, sometimes it shows up, sometimes it doesn't. But really, really cool. You can definitely sell purses they're not Coach, they're not Fossil, they're not Louis Vuitton, they're not any of the other major name brands. You can sell these ones. They just got to be great quality purses, and have some great. They could be great quality and not have any cool factor or cool image or anything like that on it. And I will tend to leave those behind, and it's just really, really like that leather one I showed last week. Just had a really cool vintage Southwest Western feel to it. But then this is a cool deal with a big butterfly on it. That's really cool. There's a lot of people that like butterflies. And I think I'm going to stop on the next one because I've got issues. Wait, I'm going backwards. Am I going backwards or am I doing it? Oh, here we go. So here's one where there were some listed, not sold if I remember correctly. It is a program for flight training, a CD-ROM. You don't really hear people say CD-ROM anymore, but really, really cool. It was brand new sealed, and everybody had it priced really, really high, $60, $70, $80 or so. So I was like, that's not going to sell. No one's going to buy that for that price. And I just know that based on my experience. And I'm sharing my experience with you and what you should be doing. So I figure this is probably going to sell more in around the $20 range. So you have to buy accordingly. You don't want to pay, $10 for it. You don't want to pay $15 for it. You want to pay $5 or less for that. And it sold for $19. $9.10 is what they paid in shipping. And this went in a large padded poly bag. Of course, I wrapped it up in bubble wrap before I put it in there. I always do wrap things in bubble wrap, especially if they're going to get damaged. There's some things I don't, like clothing, shoes. But if it's there's potential for it to, oh, my phone is going off. Interesting. I didn't want the back. It's brand new, and the packaging really is like, you're going to open it up and take it out, but I still wanted to kind of preserve the structure of this box. So I did wrap it in bubble wrap before I put it into a large padded poly bag. And yeah. How did I learn to put these things in large padded poly bags and use a lot of padded poly bags? I'm just counting right now. One, yeah, right. I say, yeah. It's because I used to order from someone a lot of collectible toys from someone on eBay. And they would send them in large padded poly bags, and they would survive the trip. They would make it perfectly fine. And I ordered a lot of stuff from this one person. And I remember ordering, I remember one specific incident where I did order a pretty rare Star Wars action figure in the card and everything. Came in a box like you would typically assume. And the box was completely brushed. And at that time, I was into, had to be mint in the card, brand new, no damage, nothing, unpunched card and all that. And this thing was completely crushed. And the figure was fine. The figure was perfectly fine, but the bubble had popped open. It was smashed down, and the card was crunched. I'm like, what in the... Like, if a box couldn't save this thing. So... And then I was ordering from this one person who kept sending stuff to me in padded poly bags. And I was like, oh, you know what? This padded poly bag thing seems to work perfectly fine. As long as you also add additional bubble wrap to it. And again, you might be thinking bubble wrap's expensive if you're buying it from Staples, if you're buying it from Target, if you're buying it from a retail setting. You have to find Amazon, check eBay, where you can get these gigantic rolls. They look like dumpster truck wheels is what they look like. And when you buy it like that, the individual, however you calculate your bubble wrap, I do it by a foot, 1 foot by, or I should say 12 inches by 24 inches right now. That's what I've been getting, the 24-inch long ones. I find it's more versatile. But before it used to be, did I say 12? Did I say they come in rolls of how much is it? It's a very, well, either way, the width is what I'm trying to describe. The width of the roll is 24 inches. And then there's lots and lots of feet, in the roll itself. Like I said, it comes and it looks like giant dump truck wheels is what it looks like. The width is 24 inches, and I found that to be incredibly versatile. Before, I used to just buy 12-inch width. But either way, you have to find a cheap supplier of your supplies. So, okay, that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. I think I talked way more than I wanted to, but thanks for watching.
Hey, you've made it to the end. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please like the video by hitting the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel by hitting my little round icon down below. It really does help us out here. Also, you'll find a couple of selections. You'll see a playlist of videos to watch and my most recent video that I did upload.